This is Note-Taking Guide 6.3 for Mathematical Decision Making for Life. Today we're just going to continue talking about bias. So we started talking about bias yesterday, or on the last Note-Taking Guide, and today we're just going to continue to talk about what bias is and how we can fix it. How can we ask questions on a survey or questionnaire that would not have bias? So we're just going to read this little section here that kind of tells us what bias is. It says, so when designing a survey, it is important that the survey questions be carefully written. If a question is poorly written, then the response of the people surveyed may not accurately reflect their opinions or actions. These types of flawed questions are called biased questions. There are several reasons why a question may be biased. The question may encourage the respondent to answer in a particular way. The question may be perceived as too sensitive or to answer truthfully. The question may not provide the respondent with enough information to give an accurate opinion. Just to continue that, it also says, starting here, biases may also be introduced through the order in which the questions are asked, or may result when the person conducting the interview intentionally or unintentionally influences the response of those interviewed. So we're going to look at 3 questions here. I'm going to decide whether or not they're biased or unbiased questions. So if they are biased, we're going to talk about just how we can fix them. So it says on letter A here, many national parks are being heavily damaged by acid rain. Do you favor government funding to help prevent acid rain? So what do you think, biased or not biased? Well, I think the way that this question is asked is kind of on the biased side. The reason why is because we're telling people that that national parks are being heavily damaged by acid rain. And then we're like, hey, do you favor or not favor funding for that? Well, if you're asking someone that question, they already know how you feel about it because you're saying heavily damaged. So they're going to be like, I don't want to tell her that I don't agree with her on, this opinion that she has about national parks and acid rain. So you're influencing the people that you're asking the question to. So I'm going to say that this is bias, and that in order to fix it, we could easy fix this. We could just ask the question, not have it prefaced by that opinionated statement. So we could just say, do you favor government funding to help prevent acid rain? That would be a very unbiased question if we asked it just that way. All right, letter B. Do you agree with the amendments to the Clean Air Act? I don't see anything biased about that. We didn't mislead. We didn't ask in a way that might be opinionated. We didn't give any kind of reasons for them to want to answer a certain way. So I'm going to say this one is perfect. This is an unbiased question. All right, next one. Police officers ask mall visitors, do you wear your seatbelt regularly? So is this question biased or unbiased, guys? This is a biased question. So really, if it was a regular person asking if people wear their seatbelt, it probably would be an unbiased question. But the minute we have police officers ask someone if they're breaking the law by not wearing their seatbelt, that's going to influence people in the way they answer the question. So that definitely is a biased question. How can we fix it? We don't have police officers ask the question. We have a normal person ask the question. All right, example 2 here. Bias sample is what we're wondering here this time. It says the manager of a concert hall wants to know how often people in the community attend concert. The managers ask 50 people standing in line for the rock concert how many concerts per year they attend. Well, you guys, this is definitely biased. The reason it's biased is because if you're going to ask someone about whether or not they are going to attend a certain number of concerts per year, you should be asking a random sample of people, not people who are standing in line at the concert. Those people would already have a higher number of concerts they're attending than the average person off of the street because they're standing in line at a concert. So this is definitely biased. How would we fix it? We would randomly select people. We would not select them from the line at the concert. All right, example 3. You are a member of the prom committee You want to poll members of the senior class to find out where they want to hold the prom. There are 324 students in the senior class. Describe a method for selecting a random sample of 40 seniors to poll. So we talked about a lot of sampling methods the other day on how we could do that. I kind of like that one that said choose the nth number of people. If we want to ask 40 out of 324, we're going to figure out if we're going to ask randomly every 7th person or every 10th person, depending on how that works. We could totally do it that way. I think you could also put maybe a method that would be easier or less math involved, because you'd have to do some math to find the nth person there. You could just put all 324 names in a hat and pull out 40 of them. That would be a way to randomly select people that would also work. So I think there's lots of different answers to that question. You just have to get a little creative on that. All right, the next thing here we're going to do is we're going to find the margin of error. So this is the formula for the margin of error. It says when a random sample of size n is taken from a large population, the margin of error is approximated by this formula. And the formula is 1 over the square root of n being the number of people sampled out of the large population. So we're just going to do an example of how to find the margin of error. It says here, in a survey of 1,011 people, 52% said that television is their main source of news. What is the margin of error for this survey? Well, I need to know the number of people that were selected on this. So what I'm going to do first of all is on my calculator, I'm going to do 50% of 1,011 people. If I do 52% of 1,011 people, that will give me my n value. So when I did that, I actually got 525.72. That 0.72, when we're talking about people, is going to round that up to the next person. So we're going to go 526 is the number of people for my n value. So that's my n value for my formula. So the formula says to go 1 over the square root of n. So 1 over the square root of 526. I'm just going to punch that in my calculator and let my calculator do the work for me. So use that square root key on the bottom, do 526 underneath that square root key, and then it's just going to change it to a decimal point number for me. So 0.0436 is what I got. Then I just want to change that to a percent. So my margin of error is 4.36%. So again, if they give you a percent, then you're going to have to times it by the number of people to figure out your n value, then plug it through your formula in order to find the margin of error. So our margin of error would be, usually it's plus or minus 4.36%, because it could be above it that high or it could be below it by that low. So we're going to do margin of error as a plus or minus number. All right, you guys, if you have any questions, please make sure you email me. I'm happy to help you. Good luck on your assignment.